Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars, and let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 12-hour time frame, because right now we are starting to break this descending trend line. And in this video, I will be talking about if it is likely that we are going to get a reversal here from this big downtrend that we were actually in, or if it is more likely that we continue to roll over and start making new lows in the Bitcoin price. Before I start with the analysis, I want to be very clear that this is not going to be my personal opinion. I will only be showing you the objective technical analysis and nothing more. Besides that, this is also not meant to be spreading fear that we are getting some kind of massive crash or that we are about to shoot up to 150,000 US dollars by next week. With that out of the way, let's dive into this analysis here. So today I want to start with an empty chart on this 12-hour time frame and start building from there. Notice how right here we are clearly just making lower highs in the Bitcoin price, and we were making lower lows as well. However, just recently here, this actually started to shift. For example, you can see that right here, we actually have a higher low coming in instead of getting another low below this about a 106K level, right? Besides that, yes, this is still a lower high that we got, but after that, we are actually getting a higher high in the Bitcoin price once again in comparison to this one right here. Now, does this mean that we need to start pumping like crazy? No, not necessarily, but it is showing that on these lower time frames, we are very silently starting to show some potential reversal signals, which is of course a good thing if you are a bull in this case, because we aren't just clearly in a downtrend anymore at this point on the lower time frame specifically. However, on this 1 day time frame, we actually need to see candle closes above 115.5K. If you see anything except just bullish momentum here on this 1 day time frame, I'm giving one exception here on Sunday because we might just trade sideways and just get a flat day like we are seeing right here on this Saturday as I'm recording this video. But either way, if we aren't just getting a clear uptrend over the next couple days and instead start to see a move back down like this, then we need to be extremely cautious about where this low is going to form. For example, if we start to get candle closes below 107.5K, then at that point, guys, we are making lower lows once again, and we should be expecting a further continuation to the downside from that point onward. However, as soon as we start getting candle closes above 115.5K, that is actually the bullish confirmation signal on the higher time frames that we should be open to the possibility of a continuation to the upside from that point onward. Notice how right here we have already started to break this downtrend. So once again, that is looking relatively bullish. And in the RSI momentum indicator, we have actually broken the downtrend here as well. So this is simply one of those RT1M patterns. If you know, you know. And if you don't know, you'll find out eventually when you watch my channel long enough. But either way, that is one of those pieces of confluence that can be useful in identifying a potential trend reversal. Now, what we are going to do next is look at the ETF flow tables and then the liquidity. After that, I'm putting it all together into what I think is more likely going to happen. First of all, starting with the Bitcoin ETF flow tables, because yesterday we got a small net inflow of about $90 million. Notice how right here we are starting to get a bit of a different look from these ETF investors as well. While we were first just getting massive outflows, we are now starting to see some small inflows here. Nothing too major. Anything below 100 million isn't relevant in my personal opinion based on the massive amount of trading volume that we get every single day. But either way, we aren't seeing massive outflows from these ETFs anymore. Now, lastly, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, first of all, on the 1 month time frame. Notice how right here, most of the liquidity is actually to the downside, sitting at around 106K. So that is a level to watch out for, especially if we start breaking down here on the lower time frames. Watch out for some warning signals like that. However, for now, like I said, we are still in a technical uptrend. So basically, we should just be looking for liquidity to the upside to be grabbed. For example, at around 112.2K and even at 114.5K as well. Now, if I zoom in a little bit more, so for example, this 3-day time frame, notice how right here we have big liquidity to the upside at 112.3K, but also liquidity to the downside around 109,000. However, there is once again massive liquidity to the downside as well, So again, guys, keep an eye on what is happening in this area of resistance. If we start to see some kind of rejection here and warning signals are starting to flash, for example, breaking down below 110K, or even starting to break back down below this descending trend line on the 12-hour time frame. You could even see it on the much lower time frames here as well. If we start to break down here, then that is a short-term warning signal for some liquidity to be grabbed. It is just a matter of what time frame you are trading. Of course, if we start to break down here, then we could grab some liquidity down here, but it doesn't need to be the end of the whole uptrend here that we have on, for example, this 12-hour time frame at the moment. So to bring it all together here, on the lower time frames, for example, the 12-hour time frame and below, currently things are looking more bullish than bearish, although of course there are going to be some points of invalidation like I showed you in this video, guys. Now on the 1 day time frame, we are actually starting to see a different kind of market structure as well, with higher highs and higher lows being formed. If you want to be extra cautious, it is good to watch out for a break above 115.5K. Once again, it is just a matter of which time frame you are trading. Either way, this has been today's market update. In tomorrow's video, I'm going to focus on the short term once again, so make sure to stay tuned for that. And besides that, below this video, I will post a link to Blowfin, where if you use my referral code, guys, then you will get a big discount on your trading fees. Either way, if you do end up using that or not, make sure to come back to tomorrow's video, because there, once again, I'm going to cover the immediate short term for Bitcoin of what we should be expecting early next week. But either way, if you do end up subscribing or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.